Hello everyone. I have Tushar with me today. So Tushar has about 5 years of experience in 3D. He is a founder and CEO of Zeg.ai. So today he will give a live demo of his tool which will convert a 2D image into a 3D model. Pretty amazing stuff. So looking forward to see the demo. Tushar, over to you.
Thanks so much, Altaf, for the introduction. Hi, everyone. As Altaf mentioned, I'm Tushar. I'm founder of Zeg. And so what I have prepared for today's conversation is mostly around like 3D content and how can we make 3D content very, very easy when you look it into a sort of a games point of view or from a photography point of view and other kind of use cases. So what I'll do now is I'll share my screen and I'm getting used to this platform, so hopefully things are showing fine on the screen. Yeah, so there's certain things that what Zeg does, and then we can talk in context in terms of games as well. So like if you imagine from an eyes of someone who wants to get a really high quality photo, and they need to ship the product to a studio, and they need to ship props like mangoes and things like that to a studio, and the cost of photography can be super high. So even in India, we have seen some sellers like paying 30,000 rupees for a medium quality photos, and some people are even paying lakhs of rupees for very, very high end photography. So what we have created is a 3D platform, 3D virtual platform where you can build 3D models very easily. And even you and I can build 3D models, which I will show you in a bit. Before that, why do we want to do that? So if you look at say any game scene, sort of cyberpunk in this case, and if I had to attach a dollar value to each of the 3D models that you're seeing right now on the screen, you would find that the costs of AAA games and everything escalate very quickly, purely because of it takes very time consuming to build these 3D models and make them look more and more real. So right now the games have started to look very, very real, and most of it is moving in the direction where it will be indistinguishable from reality. So this is what we have developed, and I'll show simple objects first, and then I will move towards more complex objects because it's just a start for us. So what we do is you take a photograph of a product, it converts into a 3D model, it extracts the label, and then you can combine it. So you get a digital twin, and then you can place it say inside a scene, inside games or anything like that you can do with the 3D asset. So at this point, I'll show you a demo of the product. So this product is available on our website. You guys can give it a try. I would love to hear any feedback, good or bad, on how you find it. So you are inside a virtual studio, and it's all on the web, so you don't need to download an app and everything. So all the 3D models are being run on a web-based platform. So the way it works is that you upload a photo of the product. So in our case, we can do mainly consumer good items. By consumer good items, I mean cosmetic items, personal care items. So something that you can find at a neighborhood kirana store is something that we can do right now. So in this case, I'll take this photograph and upload it. So and you can take it from smartphone, as long as it's not a cluttered background and it's a clear sort of a photo, you can do that. And then it converts that into the 3D shape of the product. And so I'll take it into a different background. So these are all just HDRIs basically that we have loaded here, so that you can place the 3D model on a beach or a mountain to but this is just for viewing it in a nicer way with better lighting condition. So the way we have developed this thing is with the image, it's very difficult to extract all the information that is there in the 3D. So what we do is we extract the 3D sort of shape that can be approximated from a photograph. And then if you don't like the shape for certain reason, then you can modify it very easily. So you can actually, like, like just move these bubbles around the product and actually deform the product the way you want. So you don't have to actually work in a very complicated software, which would require at least 3 years of learning to do something like this. And so once you're happy with the shape, that's the first step. And then it's all about like assigning materials. So like you have materials in the real world, you just do that same thing in the virtual world. And in this case, the tube is black in color, so I will assign it black. It's plasticky in color, so I'll assign a plastic sort of a look and feel, which is like just expanding on the roughness. And once you're happy with everything, all you have to do is basically upload the branding label of the product. So branding label is just like a 2D image of the product that you have. And once you upload that, you can slap it onto the product, and then you can expand the the length and breadth of the product to cover the entire thing. And once you're happy with this thing, then you can do multiple things. So you could, for example, you don't like the lighting over here, and then you can take it to a different kind of lighting, like a room where you have. Maybe you want to even attach a paper behind it, for example. So you could like put a paper behind the product to capture all the lighting that you need. Then probably you want to decorate this scene that you're building. This is a 3D scene, and that's something that you want to decorate with like certain things, like say lavender, for example. So you can actually add lavender to it. And once you're happy with this thing, you can definitely download the GLTF or the USDZ model, and then take it inside a game or AR or VR. You could also click 4K, and it will create a really high quality sort of imagery that we build. So these are like certain examples that we are doing, and these are all built on the Zeg platform. So these are all photorealistic, as good as real sort of products, product photos that we have just rendered online. And there is no real sort of a product that exists out there like this in certain cases. But you can say they are perfect digital twins that we have generated. So going back to the presentation a bit, and then I'll come back to slightly more things in the demo. So again, you can build these assets very quickly, and then you can just take it inside games or do something in the AR, VR sort of a thing. Then I also want to talk about certain things like like photogrammetry. Like you guys might have some of you might be already be aware of it, and that you take a lot of photos around the product, and then you try to build a 3D model. And why we differ from this methodology is that like for certain products like that, what we do, you don't get a really good outcome. So for example, you get an outcome like this, which is not usable, or which is not something that like a customer would be ready to pay for, even from a game point of view. So photogrammetry has its own advantages and disadvantages when it comes to scanning like big museums, big environments. Then there is a lot of value add over there. But in any scenario, you would always have to have an expert involvement that would be required towards the end in finishing of the product. One is capturing the product, and then is finishing the product. And in photogrammetry, you will always need the physical item. In our case, so just a smartphone photo will do, and then you have to spend like 5 minutes on the platform to actually build the 3D model. So just to show you more on the realism side of things, so this is like from Getty Images, and this is something that we created on Zeg. This photograph alone costs more than 40,000 rupees if you want to buy like sort of a copyright sort of an item. And rightfully so, because you have to arrange all these things, paper, you have to do everything like in a physical space that needs to be done. While you could do something like this completely virtually on the studio. Then I want to talk about like something like photorealistic humans, like the meta-human thing that you guys must be already be aware about. And so what we have been, uh, so we are focusing on anything except humans because human is a complex problem, and rendering of hair can be a very difficult. So what we have done is we have started to integrate certain things in the product that would allow for those kind of photography use cases, where you would want not only the product but like some sort of a human touch or a human element. So in this case, like what we have done is like we have fake hands, which is like, you could introduce a fake hand inside the 3D problem, 3D studio, and actually you could actually hold the product in a certain way and then click render. And when you render, you will get like literally something like this. You can easily build, for example, holding the product. You could also build something like this where you're trying to hold the product, and you can get these kind of imagery just on the studio alone. Um, then moving along, so like was a start where were focused mostly on consumer good items. But if I have to like extend the same sort of a principle, not only on let's say like consumer good items or items that you can find in a neighborhood store. So what we have done is we have started moving towards shoes, which is like inherently very complex from multiple sort of point of views. So one reason for moving into shoes is that what there is a lot of wastage that happens when shoe manufacturers have to actually create shoes of different sizes, then ship it to different countries, and a lot of people don't end up buying, and then it ends up in a landfill. So definitely there is a concept of virtual fashion that is picking up, and we like you can see some demos from Unreal Engine where they are allow very high quality rendering of the shoes. But the 3D model of shoe in itself is super complex. So if you follow the photogrammetry way, it will take you a week. If you follow a non-photogrammetry way, that is like using Blender or Autodesk or anything like that, you would still end up spending a lot of time over a week on a single shoe model. So in a scenario where the virtual fashion can be something like if you like the shoe, you can buy it and then it gets manufactured, and there are thousands and thousands different of shoes. It's very difficult to actually build a 3D model of all of them and make it available to the users. So what we have done is right now, this is again right now at a very prototype stage. And so what we have done here is we have built a very simple kind of a shoe, and I'll show you what's the our reference point. So these kind of shoes is what we have focused on, which are very simple. There are not a lot of logos, and there are not a lot of things like on the top of the shoe. So for us, so we wanted to start simple and then gradually build up a much more complex shoes like Nike's, Jordan, for example, and things like that. And the way this one works is like you have a lot of deformers. So what you can do is like you can actually start changing. So you can see the shoe shape being changed. So based on just 22 reformers, you can arrive at multiple shapes of the product, and you can actually start building the shoe, and then you can arrive at a completely different shoe just by moving these deformers onto the product. So like if you wanted a lower sort of a heel kind of a thing, you can do that. Higher heel, you could do that. um, and some of the other things that we are playing with this thing is um, I'm just looking at one of, yeah, so you could, so we have done also procedural material as well. So you can see it's a woolen fabric, it's super high quality. It's being rendered right now live, sort of like in real time onto a browser. So we have been also been working on procedural material. So right now what you're seeing is a procedural shoe, which is like the shape of the shoe, which can be deformed and can be formed into multiple shapes. But once you have the shape, then you also need material as well, which is like, what sort of fabric it is, what sort of pattern it is, and things like that. So we have been procedurally generating the materials as well. And you can actually, right now we have wool sort of a material that we have, but we are building on other different kinds of material through nodes, through help of a lot of technical artists and other such people. So, and you can also, what you can do is actually modify the number of holes that you have. For example, if you wanted less number of holes, you can do more number of holes. If you wanted to add laces, what you can do is you can add laces to the product. And then what you have got is sort of laces. And then you can actually even set material on the laces. So like what kind of sometimes it is like some sort of a fiber that is on the laces, and you can actually change that. And then you can do simple things like, color modification of the laces. If you wanted to do closed laces or open laces, you can do that. So invariably with this model and the others that we are building, we feel like that we can arrive at a shoe model that will cover 95% of all the shoes out there, and you can eventually just launch it through 3 photos. So what I had shown earlier was through 1 photo we were launching like tube packets, chips packets, bottles, and all those kind of products. With this one we are looking at something like 3 photos that would be required for launching a 3D model of the shoe. So this is going back to the presentation. This is like some of the examples of that we have done for different brands and companies. Like Getty Images, this handshake costs you a lot of money, but you could do the same thing virtually. And so on the shoes, this is a very initial sort of result, and slightly more geeky here. So this is the all birds kind of a shoe, and this is this is what the parameters should be for the shoe that exists in the real world. So this is sort of a ground truth. And then what we are doing is through just 1 to 3 images, we are predicting what sort of a parameters will actually build out the shoe completely. So what you're seeing is sort of a convergence between like there's some convergence between the parameters that are on the ground truth and what has been predicted. So we are slowly converging to a place where you could upload 3 photos of the 3 photos of the product, and it will automatically generate a 3D model of the shoe. But there are certain things that are also sometimes more important in the 3D world. So for example, like even sometimes bottles might look like a very simple shape. So for example, if I had to make this kind of a bottle, and you feel like it's simple, but like if you look at from a 3D perspective, there are a lot of complications even on a bottle kind of object as well. So right now I have a 3D model of the product, and then I can modify it if I wanted to. But like the bottle was made of glass, so what I need to do is like make it white in color, and I have to make it transparent. And I'll take it into a different background so that all of you can see it very clearly. And so this is what a real time sort of looks like, but when you render it, it will turn into a photoreal sort of a quality. But in this bottle, what you also saw was that there is a liquid in the bottle, and then you need to probably add liquid as well. And then you can decide, like, for example, what is the level of the liquid inside the bottle, and is it clear, translucent, cloudy, or milky, so to say. And once you have had liquid, also the kind of a liquid that there is obviously the problem of branding labels. So initially I showed you that you need to come up with your own branding label. But what we have done is actually, and which is still at a slightly sort of a beta stage, is that we can extract branding labels from the photos as well. So in this photo, what we can do is it takes slightly longer because of the computation that is required to extract the label. But what's happening here is that first we are extracting the bottle from the image, and so label is curved around the bottle. So what we are going to do is we are going to flatten the label, which is like make it flat. So this is the curved shape of the label. What does a flat label look like? So it needs to become flat so that I can put it back into the 3D world. And the third step is actually that like there is lighting that will come from a smartphone camera onto the label. So you need to do a lot of relighting corrections. So any sort of a shadows need to be removed. If there are like a lot of, for example, artifacts that are coming, then those need to be removed. So this is a flattened image it provides, and all you have to do is just select the label, and once you select the label, the process remains the same. So you could do again and just select this label if you wanted, and then you can just apply the label onto the bottle, and this is just came directly from the photos. And you can reduce the size, you can place it anywhere, for example, and then you need to render this photo, and then you will get a really high quality sort of a product photo. If you want a product photo, or if you wanted to download a 3D model, you can do that. But you will get like this kind of a realism completely online, and just by spending 5 to 10 minutes on getting onto the shape. So this is what I wanted to show. Like what we feel is like building 3D content needs to be super easy, and then a lot of people should just, rather than doing repetitive work of building cubes and cuboids and then like doing it in a certain way, which would require a lot of steep learning. What we are thinking is that why not actually create a unique sort of a 3D modeling studio where you can actually just build through the help of photos, and then you can concentrate more on the creative part rather than on the grunt work, which could be just like building out the shape, which can take a lot of time. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it from my side. I'm happy to take any questions that you guys might have. And if you guys want to give it a try, it's on our website, zeg.ai. And I would love to hear feedback, like how can we improve it? What sort of a products you feel that we should be building? And if in any way we can make it super, super easier, we would be more than happy to do that. Okay. Okay, so I think the one question is, what is your view on photogrammetry? And I think Avi already responded. These are much better results than photogrammetry, and I think it's like sometimes we see some results in photogrammetry and it feels like it's really good, but there is a lot of work that has happened in photogrammetry to make it to that sort of extension. So our view on photogrammetry is that if you want really highly realistic sort of product models, then you need to build it procedurally the way Unreal Engine does it, or the way Vita Digital or Houdini does it. We need to actually build the product in certain ways so that you can get really high quality product, and then that can be used inside a game, or let's say inside a photo. Photogrammetry has its own uses. So if it's like a very bigger sort of a setting, like a museum or something, then photogrammetry is much more useful to get those kind of 3D models. Okay, how can this technology be extended for complex objects? So as we see in the real world, in terms of like how does anything gets created. So like something has table has a leg, then it has a top and everything. So even in the real world, we are building things procedurally and have a function to it. So as long as we can define the function of the object, and it's not very ornamental like jewelry or something like very, very artistic sculpture for kind of a thing, all those things, this technology can be extended to all those things. Quickly, and I think one of you asked for a link to our studio. I'll share the link here in case you guys want to try. And I'll be happy to share any sort of materials as well if you want to have a look at it and then try it. Okay, there's one more question. Yeah, and a couple of more questions. What's the latest on 3D content generation creation? So if you look into, so Blender has been progressing very well on sort of node programming. So so that's one of I feel the best tools out there. It's open source, it's free to start learning 3D and to build something very complex. And a lot of those things are happening in the Blender itself. So that can be done easily. Not easily, but like probably you need to learn it the hard way. Other thing to probably look out at is NERF, which is interesting. NERF is like getting it's radiance fields. It's a very, very recent thing, but you need a lot of photographs, and then it will give you a very different viewpoint. It's not exactly a 3D model, but it's able to give you a viewpoint from a certain angle, which was not available before. So last question is any other good source to learn procedural generations? Yes. So Paruthi, like I would suggest there is a lot of resources from Professor Niloy Mitra at UCL, and I think he's an expert on procedural generation, and that would be one place to start on how these post-procedural generations are created. And second resource could be like you can download a Houdini software, a trial version, and then look at tutorials as to how to build procedural models in Houdini. So Houdini is quite far ahead when it procedural generation. There's a similar tools like grasshoppers and things like that, where you can look at the background of like how those are created, and then how you can yourself create a procedural model.
Okay, thank you so much, Tushar. One question from my side would be, once we generate a 3D model from your tool, can we directly use that in any of the game engines? Is the format supported by all the leading game engines?
Yeah, so we do a industry standard GLB format. So you can actually download in a GLB format, and then you can take it inside any game. You can take it in a web-based game, or you can take it in a console sort of a game. So it's
Okay.
compatible with all kinds of games out there.
Okay, so after the 2D 3D model is generated, so can we import that in Max or Maya and then add our own texturing if they want to outside of your tool, if you want to enhance something or change this,
Yes.
make some changes?
So
Is
if you
it
want to make
possible?
changes, yes. If you so we provide a very clean mesh as well, so you won't have a mesh that is very difficult to use. So it's
Okay.
mostly quad meshes. So you could download download 3D model that you get from our platform, and just take it inside Maya, 3ds, like 3ds Max or any such software, and do any modifications.
Okay. So do we also have an option to control the level of detail? For example, if I want only a low poly model, let's say, so can
Mhm.
I also control that in the tool, or I have to go to on the third party tool and then change it?
So right now we have some controls given, like smoothness, how smooth is the model, and you can reduce the smoothness of the 3D model, and that will lead to a much more lighter 3D model. But right now, all the 3D models created on ZEC platform are low poly. So
Okay.
that's a starting point. We do not do high poly models because it will be difficult to run it on the web. So you could download
Okay.
from here and then use some other software to take it to high poly.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Tushar, for your time. This was really, really informative for us. Something brand new that we haven't seen earlier. The live demo was also very useful. Guys, we have a couple of minutes more. If you guys want to ask any other questions, now is the time. I think someone asked for a link of the tool.
So I've shared the link of the tool.
It's already shared, right? Okay.
It's already shared. You can give it a
Okay.
try. But I can always be reached at contact@zeg.ai in case there are more questions. I would be more than happy to answer. And I would love to hear any feedback if you guys get a chance to try it.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks
The
so
next
much for
session
having
is
me.
building. Yeah. Okay. The next session is building the open metaverse by Apurva Shah. It will be starting at 9 p.m. guys. See you guys there. Thank you.